I teach a lot about spirituality, healing the emotions, and helping that change your thoughts, the mental thinking. I was so focused on this that helps change your personality. It's important for you to understand that as you become older chronologically, you also have to remember you're not just a human, you are a soul too. And to have a better, healthier life, one needs to be able to reach in to themselves and realize there are personalities that we had come into this world picking up, and it needs to be transformed. Why? Why would you need to transform your world? Is it to be just happy? Well, I don't think it's just to be happy. I think it is much more than that. And what do I mean by this? You actually help the planet. You help the consciousness. You are consciousness, and you help wake up others. Why do we need to wake up? Well, that is so we can evolve back to joy, back to love. And we do our best every day. But what gets in the way of our happiness? What people? Not necessarily. We need them to see what we're mirroring, what we've learned, the unconscious programs that one can't see for themselves. And it is important that we wake up today, and your way of giving back to the world, as everybody else seems to be, following the day-to-day news or just the mumbo jumbo of your life every day. Well, every time I put my hand to my head and use hope therapy, success hope therapy, or every time I tap using EFT or many other tools, I'm measuring, learning how to look at the emotions, look at the thoughts, and see how negative they are, and say, do I really want to feel or be negative? Do I really, really want any of this to be like this? And for so long, you wake up and you do the same routine every single day, and you got yourself memorized by the age of 30. And by 30, you're meant to wake up even further with your soul. And it's no fun to go to sleep and wake up, do all your stuff, and you age chronologically. You may decide that, oh, I don't have time for this or time for that because I have so many other things to worry about, so many other things to do. Well, here's the problem is that you're just being human. And that doesn't, seem to be a good thing, is that if you're just human. Does anybody know what I mean by that? So you may be waking up and you may say that, okay, I want to be happier. I want to worry less. And you start working on your emotions and your thoughts, and you do your best to be a good person and do the right thing. But we don't realize that we can't see something. Everybody else can see it, but we can't see it. What we did as kids is we learned how to make a comeback, say these things to hurt you or to win a fight, or, I'm right, you're wrong. And that is all ego living. That is all the personality trait of how you are, how you being. And the one thing we do get caught up in when we're human is the feelings. How do we feel? How is it that we're feeling good one minute and bad the next? And overall, somebody says, how's your life? Great. It's not that we don't want to share, or maybe we are sharing, but at the same time, you are doing all things spiritually correct, right? What are these spiritual things? You may be exercising, eating right, maybe doing yoga, breathing better. And you may be using crystals and oils and everything that can help you on this journey. They're like the toolbox, but you have to be consistent with them and you need knowledge to use them. But what happens when you feel like it's not working? Well, we got to look at your thinking. Well, I've corrected my thinking. I've done this, I've done that. But have you? Now, there are 8 very specific spiritual issues. Because in what makes us a human being is that we have physical, we think, we have feelings, so we have the mental body and the emotional body, and we have a spiritual body. And if you look out through history, we give that away. We have somebody else tell us what it looks like and how to hang out with God, and that we have to pay. We have to pay. And a meme came up and it really surprised me is that the devil never asked for any money necessarily. No, not money. But God does. And I'm like, no, God doesn't. God gives. God is love. God doesn't punish. And as I went through my religious phase and I decided when it came down to it, when I started to really look at what spirit is, how to connect with myself, how to be in that love state, I had to be done with the church. So I kind of said, I'm done with the doctrine. I'm done with these 4 walls. I want to hear what my heart has to say. I want to hear what my soul has to say. And so now you got me at 58 years old, with over 30 some years of experience of understanding more about what spirituality is. And my main job as a healer is to give you information that you are not able to see at that soul level. And I've given you healing tools to help you to evolve out of certain stages and to get you, so if you're dysregulated and you're emotionally, mentally upset, or you're physically this way, then I give you tools to help calm, to help you get back into these particular bodies, to get to your soul body and live through it as yourself, as your authentic self. But that means we have to overcome the personality. You've heard me talk several times about where our personalities come from. Let's see if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Someone says the ego says you've changed your thinking, but not necessarily true. Yes, and when you wake up to these things, then you will begin to notice in the moment, you're like, yeah, I've changed. But then when events or auto recall, automatic responses happen, or you still believe that it's okay to slight people, or because that's fun, or that is how you win, and yet you're saying yourself spiritual, but yet you don't have the empathy or you don't have what's needed because these programs that sit there. So you'd be operating out of 2 sides of your face, and that is a word. So as you start to be in live action and you notice that you're really nice, and the next person comes along and you're taking offense, that can be a clue if you were aware that you took offense. That is your limitations. These are the things your soul is asking you. Can you heal it now? You couldn't do it then. You still have an attraction factor to have that alignment, to see that kind of person, to be repeating how you responded to this person before. But is it true that you want to do this? And if you're just looking through your face, which is another glossary term, yeah. But if you were to observe yourself being in the moment, you're going to say, no, it makes me look really ugly. And you have to wake up to what's being going on. And so as you begin to wake up, you start to notice, oh my gosh, I'm being gaslit. One person says, I'm tired of being gaslit. Another person, oh, or you don't look at what you need to work on for yourself. Yes, because you can't see it unless you look in a mirror. And because we don't, nobody else walks around just with mirrors, meaning like this, there's a mirror, which is dirty. We walk around like this, but we look like this. And what we don't notice is the mirror effect, is that my inner world is creating my outer world. I can only show up to you only how I know that I've experienced, understood the emotion, understood how it felt, maybe my safety, security, stability, sanity, surrounding in space, which is freedom, have been compromised. They're out of balance. And so I'm going to see you as the enemy, because if I'm just being human, not my spiritual part, but just being human, I'm going to be in the over identification of what hurt me. And I'm going to be living by this over identification, and it's going to be fragments of the soul. And so, fragmentedly, I'm going to be looking and feeling and being this particular personality, while my soul over here is going, okay, okay, that's what they're doing. But then when you wake up and your soul's urge is saying, okay, we need to be really over here, but you're still stuck way back here. And when you start to hear with your heart, and when you start to hear these higher vibrations, you can go, oh my goodness, you can become more aware. I just yelled and screamed. Boy, that felt good, says the ego. And spirit goes, and soul says, you can heal it now. How about now? You still want to keep giving your life force away to this? And you don't realize what that means is that karma is a cause and effect. No matter what, it's always happening. But the spiritual karma that you can't see is more of like an echo, which if you treat somebody badly and you don't get it back immediately, it's because how many times does it take until you see it?